Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. This is a really great showing. How's everybody doing today? Having a good day at the festival? Tired? No. All right. Because I know I am. So today we're going to do a quick talk with you called Empowering Diversity in Gaming, Fostering Inclusivity Through Youth Engagement and Storytelling. You'd think I got paid by the word for that title. Hi, my name is Ryan O'Callahan. I'm the Executive Director for the New York Video Game Critics Circle. If you see one of the many flyers on your table, it kind of breaks down what we do, which is writing education in middle schools, high schools, and homeless shelters through video games. We use it as an engagement tool, but also as a way to create pathways towards careers for students in underserved areas here in the city. And with me is Albert.
Thanks for a great intro, Ryan. Hi, everybody. My name is Albert Dankwa. I am a content program manager at Xbox. It's a fancy way of saying that I am a social media manager and content creator. So my job is to create content from technical wording, spec sheets, how-tos, and make that content digestible for our fans all around the globe in audio-visual means. So script writing for videos, video production, and copywriting for X. Sounds weird still. Twitter. Sounds like
We continue to call it Twitter.
Yeah. I'm going to keep calling it Twitter. So that's what I do by day to day. And if you're wondering, it's like, damn, it's a big contrast in the pictures. Just a little fun fact, I love fashion, so I'm really big into fashion. And I'm also from a underserved community, so born and raised in the South Bronx.
And Albert has been a really incredible mentor with us at the Critics Circle. We've gone over to the Microsoft Experience Center and been able to connect with students. He's shared, his career and what he's been doing, which is just another part of what we love to do with the work that we're doing. So we're going to talk about a couple of terms that if you are on Twitter, which again, we're not calling it X, we have 3 words that you've probably heard some guy be really angry about called, we're pointing there, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Apparently very scary words to a certain demographic who are very loud. But what we want to talk about is, right, what really does this mean, right? It's not just checking a box. It's not just every single game needs to have this type of person, this type of person, this type of person. What we talk about is authenticity. We're looking for stories that are genuine to people, right? If you come from a certain background, you want your story to be genuine. So that's what diversity, equity, and inclusion are about. And we want to make sure that we're demystifying this. We're not making these scary words, because they're not. They're very important, especially when you're talking about marginalized groups. So why does this matter? So we want to make sure that we're creating real and authentic representation that can validate someone. There is power in seeing yourself in media. There is power in seeing yourself represented. But there's another side of it that's also really important, and that's the aspirational side, right? How do you see who you can be? Who are those role models, even if they're characters? And for a lot of people, it's hard to see those people. I know for myself growing up that it was really hard for me to find a gay role model when looking at television, when looking at any sort of media. My pathway, if I'm watching TV, was I'm either going to be a really sassy friend, or I'm going to fall in love and then ultimately end up killing myself. Those were the stories. So it looked grim, but then suddenly you see yourself. And what I want you to think about is, when did you first see yourself in media authentically? And that might be a hard question, and for me it was a really weird answer, which was Top Chef. That I was like, oh, wow, there's this gay couple, and both of them are competing on this season of Top Chef. And, oh, they're just creative, and they're professionals, and you can be that? What? TV didn't tell me that. TV told me I was going to go work at a fashion magazine and call someone something rude and everyone would laugh about it. But that's not who I felt that I was. So it's really important that we're creating this. And I know that you said you want to share an example too.
Yeah, great story, by the way. For me, growing up, I just couldn't see myself anywhere. It was really a stark contrast. The benefit of being from a place like New York City is that you have to grow up fast. So I'm like 11 years old on the train with a cup of tea and milk, because that's like a thing in the Caribbean, and a butter roll. And I'm on the train with people with their briefcase going to Wall Street, or students or creators, and etc. And I didn't see people who look or sounded like me on stages in the industry, even though I know that there were people of color, but every time I turned on the TV or looked somewhere, I never saw it. So it was something to me that was really much of a head scratcher, and I wasn't sure how I could fit in. But I thought to myself that if I ever had an opportunity to make it, that I would be the person that I wanted to see walking into classrooms. You know, no one was coming to the South Bronx. You know, it's not Manhattan. You know, nobody. You know, like I went to CUNY. You know, they didn't want a kid from Bronx Community College or Lehman. They wanted the people from Columbia. They wanted the people from NYU. Nothing wrong with that. Education is great everywhere, but I had to, you know, really be confident and trust in the journey and the path. And you know, now I get to sit here with somebody as great as Ryan, and I get to slowly, day by day, make do with my promise to, you know, show up and, you know, be the representation that I wish I had as a kid.
Thank you. Yeah. So that kind of dives into where we're going next after a couple of statistics. So when we look at the video games industry, it's historically not the most diverse. It's the slowest moving of our many media. We've seen a lot of movement in film and television, but from some of the latest data, only 4% of game makers are Black, right? And when you look at the people who engage in games, people who play games, those numbers are not the same, right? There is a huge difference in those numbers. And when we look at characters overall, 1 in 5 characters are people of color. Everyone else is white.
Okay.
And why is that? Maybe it has something to do with this. If we don't have the people who are being represented telling their stories, we aren't lucky enough to get those stories. So that then leads us to the question, how do we actually make meaningful change? Right? We come together, we have these talks with like-minded people, we all agree, we cheer, then what do we do about it, right? Outside of awareness. So one of the things that we as an organization do is we invest in the next generation. Because if you talk to a young person, they are miles ahead of anywhere I was at their age. They know who they are, they know who they want to be, so we need to encourage them to be the next generation, like Albert was talking about, right? Let them be the people in the room telling their stories. Let them be the people making the decisions, and that's the only way that we can really make meaningful change. We need to let those people tell those stories. We have a wealth of people who should be telling them right now, and we're not. But through education, through moving people through the industry, creating career pathways, going into underserved communities and giving them the education they need to start that trajectory is really, really key. It's really important. And another way that we do that is with amazing partners. We've worked really closely with Xbox over the last few years, working with Albert, who's in this picture. And if you look in the back, you can actually see me in the back. This is back when I was teaching. I was a 7th grade English teacher in the South Bronx for 7 years. I absolutely loved it. It was my favorite thing. I love talking to kids. I love kids telling me that I'm trash and being like, am I? Let's talk about it. What makes me trash? And encouraging them to be themselves and communicate and learn how to do these things. So we were really lucky to go into Microsoft Experience Center. As I said, Albert was able to talk about his career. And my engaged students wanted to learn about this. They wanted to learn about these careers because they're unaware. They're not getting all of that information. They're lucky to have access to the internet and all of those things, but there's this misinformation that if I want a job in games, I've got to know how to code, which isn't true. It is a deep, deep, deep industry where there's so many opportunities. So we want to make sure that we're letting them know about careers like what Albert does or different writing.
Yeah, and definitely to add to that, I think a big part of it is awareness, and awareness is exposure as well to our youth. Growing up, as a kid in the 90s, it was you either had the console or you're not playing. Maybe a neighbor had it, maybe a family member, or you would go to a Toys R Us or something like that, or a Best Buy and play on the display one until they told you to leave, right? And like nowadays, there's so many access points to gaming. People can play. They can play on their phone. They can play on a web browser, on a console, on a PC, on a Samsung TV. Now, soon, on an Amazon Fire Stick, right? There's a lot of different ways where kids and our youth can be able to access gaming. And I think that's the most important part too, because it's not only having the skills, but having the passion, and the passion is going to come from exposure. So getting those opportunities to, play those games, feel the excitement, get drawn those worlds that's made by these amazing creators that will give you inspiration to go, hey, you know what? Maybe I can be a part of it too. And to Ryan's point, I wasn't a coder, and that was my big drawback. Wanting to come to the industry, I said, well, I can code, and I'm not going to be a big hotshot executive, so how do I get into gaming? And I just loved content. I made content, my own content. The funny part about this picture is that the Experience Center used to be our Microsoft flagship store. I worked in that store for 5 years. That's where I started. Nobody came for me out of college. There was no way I was recruited. I got no's at every left turn, right turn, corner. Nobody would open the door for me. And I just had a knack for making my own content to the point where my role was created for me. So it wasn't anything that I looked for. Like on a job site, it was, hey, we're going to take this guy, we're going to do something for him. But I just wanted to share that because, again, I could have packed my bags, left town, and hopped on the first flight over to Seattle. But the important part, or another great part about diversity and inclusion, is I think that we always get 2 out of the 3 parts, and the third part is always hidden. First part is diversity in the mind. We want to make sure that we get people that think from different walks of life, that have different ideas. Of course, the eye test, right? I want people that look from different cultures, different backgrounds. But the last part is diversity in the heart, and part of that is location. I felt that if I would have, hopped on a plane and moved my whole life over to Seattle, that not saying that I wouldn't be able to do a good job, but growing up in the city is a part of me. It's a part of what makes me special, and I wanted to stay here and create here because I can make my best work. I'm in my element when I'm in my city. I get so much inspiration from anything around me, the parks, even like the smelly garbage, whatever it is going on. There's a lot of stuff that makes this city special, and that's part of you too. So, definitely think about location diversity as well when you think about different different ways in which we can be inclusive of one another, because that's just a part of us as part of our families, our walks of lives, our personalities, and so forth.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the thing that you said about feeling that this place is special, and we have so many incredible students. We are the largest school district in the country, and we need to make sure that our students are getting opportunities, they're getting awareness, because there are so many kids that are passionate about video games in a way that can be really debilitating for them, where they're obsessed and they don't get their schoolwork done, and then teachers complain and blah, blah, blah. But we can flip that script, and that's what I was really working to do when I was teaching, was I would bring, it was 2021 and no one wanted to do work and everyone just wanted to talk to me about my Animal Crossing village. So did I make a slideshow with only pictures from my Animal Crossing village? Did we read about the success of Animal Crossing and how that coalesced with the pandemic? And did we learn about all these different terms using just that? Yeah. And they were all engaged. Surprise, right? There's a way to connect with kids. And like in this image, we went on this educational field trip and we got to hang out and play Forza in a really cool game lab. Like, there are so many cool opportunities that we can give to our students, and we want to continue to expand and do that. And to end, we're going to just touch on some of those things that we're doing at the Critic Circle, which some of which is on those flyers that are on your table. So when we're working with our students, we want to educate them, we want to inform them, and we want to equip them for their future, right? It's not just meeting a student, giving them something and walking away. We want to really work with students throughout and work to build pathways towards a career in this industry where they can be a voice. So a big part of that is giving them the tools to be writers. It's beneficial for all students, but for those students who really want to be part of a career in games, whether it's through journalism or through writing for a game, they're learning those skills really, really early. And they're able to take those on each moving step. So something that's been really exciting and encouraging is seeing what students are able to pull out creatively when you give it to them in a language that they understand. So when we tell students to write a game, it's so much different than when I say write a short story, because they're now thinking, how does gameplay integrate into the story that I want to tell? Right? I had students, we had one student who submitted a piece who created this roguelike story of immigrating to the United States from Yemen. And like, what a brilliant way to think of a roguelike, right? I hit this roadblock, I'm deported back to my country, I try again. And they mapped out this really, really cool idea that we wouldn't have gotten from someone who didn't have a family who immigrated from Yemen. Like, that's how you get those ideas. I had a student who had family in sub-Saharan Africa who struggled with literacy, and she created this story about every time you level up, you learn a new letter. So you try to read these signs and they're invisible to you and you can't see them, but suddenly, now I'm level 3, I've got 3 letters, I can start to decipher this. What a creative idea to think about the struggles of your family and where you come from. So we want to continue pushing that, and on top of that, we work with giving students internships. They write game reviews for our website, nygamecritics.com. We work to give them scholarships and connect with organizations and developers like Rockstar Games to get scholarships to kids. And we really work to mentor students as well and connect them with people in the industry. So you might have seen a couple of slides back, we got to meet Phil Spencer, and Phil came in and talked to our kids and talked to them about what the industry is. And there's so much value in just that, right? Having someone who's at one of the pinnacles of what you can do in a career in games tell you that you're capable of it goes miles. And then we continue to work and connect students to different opportunities. We were able to connect with the Gina Davis Institute at Games for Change last year, and we were able to bring our interns on and work with them to talk about how they feel they want to be represented in games and in the world. And they were able to work on this incredible research that you're doing. And if you're here tomorrow, please go see the Gina Davis Institute's incredible showcase. What are we calling it, Diana? Workshop. They're really incredible workshop. And I believe 1 or 2 of our students will be there. So yeah, I mean, that's us, and I'm running real low, but do you have anything else to say before we maybe take a question or 2?
No, I think definitely well said. So again, the New York Video Games Critics Circle does amazing work, and I'm super honored to be able to represent not only as somebody in the game industry, someone for Xbox, but just as a person of color, someone who was once in the shoes of some of these students, to help and give back. So yeah, thank you, Ryan. That's all I can say.
Thank you. It's really great to have you join us. So if you have any questions, if you want to reach out, information's on all those flyers. I'll be here in the hallway in the pit. I don't know what we're calling the basement area. But happy to talk to anybody and, talk to you more about what we're doing. So thank you, everybody.
Okay.